Terrence Howard just said something about Beyoncé that has fans asking one very uncomfortable question. Did Jay-Z know about this?
I was Jay-Z with Beyonce. You see these couples where it's like,
I had a chance to date Beyonce, early on, and we had a conversation, and I ended up talking to the other girl inside of, Destiny, the girl with the blue eyes. And I remember Beyonce looking over at me, and I think that's why she picked me to do that dance when she did the kind of striptease dance that we did at the BETs or whatever, to show me what I had lost. But I was attracted. There was a moment in which I felt something there. But,
with Beyonce.
Yeah, but that was long before she was with Jay-Z. That was very, very long ago.
Y'all, did you hear what he just said? Because Terrence Howard did not stumble into that. He sat down on one of the biggest podcasts in the country, looked into that camera, and told millions of people that there was a real moment between him and Beyoncé. He described it as real chemistry, a moment, he says, stayed with him for decades. And then he implied very carefully, with very specific language, that she reminded him of that moment on one of the biggest stages in Black entertainment history. And the part that has fans uncomfortable is when he explained what happened on the BET Awards stage years later. Now I know what some of you are already thinking. This is Terrence Howard, the man who says a lot of things. And your skepticism is noted. But before you make up your mind, I need you to watch one more thing. That face, that right there, that does not look like the face of a man just watching a performance. It looks like somebody reacting to something deeper than what the audience saw. And ever since Terrence Howard opened his mouth on that podcast, the internet has been replaying those 30 seconds of footage trying to figure out what exactly he was reacting to. Here is what we are covering today, what Terrence Howard actually said, what the BET Awards moment looked like up close, what 3 different groups of fans think about all of it, and the one question that nobody is asking out loud, but everybody is thinking. Stay with me. Let's start at the beginning. On the March 2026 PBD Podcast, Terrence Howard was talking with Patrick Bet-David about relationships in Hollywood, why he avoided them, why he kept his personal life separate from his professional one. The conversation was wide-ranging. Howard talked about his childhood, his career, his philosophy about faith and integrity in the entertainment industry. And somewhere in that conversation, Bet-David brought up famous power couples. He brought up Jay-Z and Beyoncé as the gold standard, the untouchable pairing, the example of what success in love and career looks like when everything aligns. And that is when Terrence Howard said something nobody expected. He said he had a chance to date Beyoncé early on, back in the Destiny's Child era. According to Terrence, there was real chemistry between them. A genuine moment that he felt deeply enough that he still remembers it all these years later. And then, and this is the part that changes everything, he walked away from that moment and started talking to another Destiny's Child member instead, the one with the blue eyes, widely believed to be Farrah Franklin, the 4th member who eventually left the group. He chose someone else, and Beyoncé, by his account, clearly noticed. Now fast forward to June 2005, the BET Awards. Destiny's Child is performing Cater to You, their ode to serving your man, one of the most iconic live performances in the group's entire run. And for the performance, each member of Destiny's Child picks a man from the audience to bring on stage. Kelly Rowland picks Nelly. Michelle Williams picks Magic Johnson. And Beyoncé, already with Jay-Z, already one of the most powerful women in music, walks into the audience and picks Terrence Howard. That room was packed with celebrities, actors, athletes, moguls. Out of all of them, Beyoncé walked directly to Terrence Howard. She did not pick any of those other men. She walked to him. Terrence Howard's explanation: she wanted to show him what he had lost. His exact words: "It's a 9 for the lap dance." But the intent, she wanted to show me what I missed out on, that was 100. And when someone asked afterward whether any chemistry remained in that moment, he said directly, no, Jay-Z would kill me. 3 words. Jay-Z would kill me. Let that land for a second. Now, the internet is split into 3 camps, and I want to walk through all 3 because where you land depends entirely on what you believe happened. Camp 1 says Terrence Howard is exaggerating, that this is a man who has not worked at his former level, sitting on a podcast, polishing a story that makes him feel more significant than the current chapter of his life suggests. That claiming you had a chance with Beyoncé is the celebrity version of saying your high school crush liked you unprovable, flattering, and impossible to refute because the other person is never going to dignify it with a response. One fan said it perfectly. How do you get a chance to date somebody you never asked out on a date? It makes no sense. He's on a loser tour. And some fans immediately pushed back on the timeline, pointing out that Beyoncé was extremely young during that Destiny's Child era and questioning whether Howard's story even makes sense when you do the math. Camp 1 says the whole thing falls apart under any real scrutiny. And Camp 1 has a point. Terrence Howard has made claims before that did not hold up. His credibility as a narrator of his own story is not bulletproof. Camp 1 is not wrong to be skeptical. Camp 2 says, skip the podcast and watch the clip, not his words, the footage. Because if Terrence Howard is lying about a past connection with Beyoncé, someone forgot to tell his face during that BET Awards performance. The man walked onto that stage, fully composed, smiling, doing the bit. And by the end of that 30-second performance, his expression had shifted into something that does not read like a man watching a show. It looks like a man being reminded of something he thought he had left behind a long time ago. Fans described it in real time across social media. Terrence was ready to risk it all. He literally had to start praying after she put that leg over him. One person wrote that his expression in that specific moment looked less like someone enjoying a performance and more like someone receiving a message they were not prepared for. And another fan described it simply, that man did not blink for 30 seconds. Camp 2 says the clip is the receipt, and the clip does not lie. It just sits there and makes you wonder what was going through that man's mind in that exact moment. Because the internet is not arguing about what Terrence Howard said on the podcast. They are arguing about what his face did on that stage. Watch that moment again, because that is not the part of this story people are talking about from the podcast. That is the part they keep replaying on their own. Camp 2 is not pointing at what Terrence Howard said. They are pointing at what his face did when Beyoncé stood over him on that stage. And they are asking one question. If there was nothing there, if this is all exaggeration and selective memory, then why does he look like that? That is the question the clip keeps raising, and nobody has a clean answer to it. And then there is Camp 3. Camp 3 is the group that is not laughing and is not pulling up clips. Camp 3 is sitting with a very specific and very uncomfortable question that nobody is willing to say out loud in polite conversation. Did Jay-Z know about this? Not about the BET Awards performance that was public. Jay-Z was presumably watching. Everyone saw Beyoncé walk into that audience and pick Terrence Howard. That part is not a secret, but what about what came before? The conversation, the chemistry. The moment Howard says he felt something real between them before Beyoncé was with anyone else. Did Jay-Z ever know that the man Beyoncé picked for that 2005 performance was someone she once had a genuine connection with before him? Did she tell him? Did she need to? Was there even anything to tell? Camp 3 does not know the answer. That is exactly why Camp 3 cannot stop asking the question, because the answer changes everything about how you read that BET Awards moment. If Jay-Z knew, if Beyoncé had told him, if it was all above board, if there was nothing there that needed explaining, then the whole story is just a harmless piece of celebrity trivia. Terrence Howard had a crush. It went nowhere. Life moved on. But if Jay-Z did not know, if that moment on that stage happened without him ever understanding what it meant to Terrence Howard, if that chapter stayed buried because there was a reason to keep it buried, then this is a different story entirely. Camp 3 is not saying it is. Camp 3 is just saying nobody has answered the question. And that gap, that unanswered question sitting between what Terrence Howard implied and what nobody will confirm is exactly where this whole thing lived. Because here is what we know about Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Beyoncé once released Lemonade, an entire album about betrayal and trust inside her marriage. Jay-Z responded with 444, admitting he had not always been the man she deserved. That chapter of their relationship played out in public, but entirely on their terms. They chose what to name. They chose what to keep private. Terrence Howard just named a chapter they did not choose, and neither of them has responded. Beyoncé has not said a word. Her team has not issued a statement. And Jay-Z, a man who has built his entire late career public image around being an honest partner, around accountability, around being the man who finally got it right, has also said nothing. Not a quote, not a dismissal, not a single word to confirm or deny that any of this lands near anything real. And that silence is doing a lot of work right now, because in celebrity stories like this, silence usually means one of two things. Here is what I keep coming back to. Terrence Howard said this on a major platform. He said it with specific details, the blue eyes, the looking over, the intent behind the BET Awards performance, the exact rating he gave the lap dance. This is not a man who slipped. This is a man who chose every word carefully and said exactly as much as he wanted to say. No more, no less. And the one thing he very carefully did not say, the thing that would make this story go from gossip to confirmed scandal, is whether anything actually happened between them. He did not say that. He left that part out. On purpose. He implied it. He did not say it. And that specific gap between what he implied and what he said is exactly where this whole story lives. Beyoncé, responding to Terrence Howard, gives him exactly what he wants, confirmation that the moment was real enough to address. Not responding leaves the question sitting in the air indefinitely, which is exactly where Camp 3 wants it to stay. And honestly, that question, did Jay-Z know, is going to live in the comments of this video for a long time. Because nobody has a clean answer, and that is what makes it impossible to let go of. And I have one more question before I let you decide. Why now? Terrence Howard has done hundreds of interviews over the past 20 years. He has talked about his marriages, his career, his lawsuits, his theory that the number one does not exist in mathematics. He has never been afraid of making people uncomfortable. So, why this podcast in March 2026? Why this level of detail about a woman who is one of the most protected figures in music? Why now, unprompted, deliberate at the quietest point in his career? Is this a man who just felt like talking, or is this a man who decided the right moment had finally arrived? The timing of what someone chooses to reveal is always part of what they are revealing. So the real question is simple. Did Terrence Howard just reopen a moment Beyoncé never told Jay-Z about? Or is he rewriting history in real time? Because one of those answers is funny, and the other one is not. Drop your side in the comments, whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or Camp 3. And if you are not subscribed yet, fix that right now. Stay tapped in for more gossip.